don't have a slideshow, so you're just
I'll
gonna
just get 2 sets of tires.
amazing. If you do need internet for any
2 sets of
reason,
tires. One's with good tires and bad
if you do need
rims,
internet for
and
any
one's with
reason,
bad rims and good tires.
it's all
Alright.
So switch them.
utilize it.
Yeah,
Yes,
actually,
yes,
60 bucks for you to do that.
$60 each.
While I'm
Each,
doing the
so you have
presentation.
2, that means 120. That makes sense.
So I have 4.
They don't get my.
No, 2 sets.
2 sets.
Oh, yeah, we can.
So
if you don't mind, because I
think
the next time if you have
120 is
back
just
on
for
the
rims.
presentation, you
Exactly.
And then put them back on the car.
Exactly.
Normal?
Yeah.
I got
I'm
an
worried for you, man.
I got an myself to one and he wants a colored man, no as far as here. Speaks a lot of English, came up and said $80. And then the guy who I was gonna told me 120, so I kind of. So what the hell?
Where did you go?
Some mom and
I
pop
teach
shop.
all Common Girls, I teach all the web forms, paperwork.
Oh, really?
Young and elegant girls?
Yeah.
Dude.
Buddy texted me, so.
Buddy?
Ray?
Ray. And he takes the thing that.
Hey, who is this? And then I replied, I was just like, hey, it's Adam.
I'll speak to you about my name.
I had. I've seen the best legal cases. Worst scenarios, receiverships, bankruptcy.
It's actually for serious taxes.
Excellent.
Well, over there, I cares. Yeah. There's a lot of closed.
So we do call external speakers. Of course, we try to narrow it down to education.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, with the option, of course, we'll do a lot of businesses are realtors. Royal Patriot Community has over 1,000 realtors throughout 9 locations. They can't all fit in here, so that's why we do the live stream.
I've done that before.
And
It is
then
true.
we've
Webinars are there.
Michelle Reese has now the broker of all the Connect offices, so those are the 6 offices that are on live broadcast, but you're going to see that. So I'm looking forward to this, and then after the presentation, hi, how are you? Good. We'll have a chance to chat. I personally did.
I don't get that. Why is it that I'm just checking internal legal presence, the 565?
Really high maintenance fees.
I know.
Yeah.
Why is it that 55 has a higher maintenance fee than the 65?
They are different filters.
It's the same filter. Remember, no one.
You're sitting here.
They are different.
You are a tower.
They're different buildings. They're different buildings.
Are they?
And they have 2 different corporations. They have 2 different.
Yeah, I'm checking to be around them right now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
But they share
It
that.
starts at, yeah, it starts at.
The first,
Usually we give
their sister buildings.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm not gonna start.
I'll take a look.
Yes, and then.
Onita has a bunch of different buildings.
I'm talking about 55 and 65, the new ones.
They also have train tracks.
This one works on me, crush one.
Absolutely,
I'll grab your phone.
Hey Celeste.
Hello, how are you, Bella?
I saw your picture this morning. I'm only Celeste.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
And did you see my thing? My friend from Rome, she's my neighbor actually, Pia. She said to me, she texted me a picture 20 degrees today. I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Oh, I don't wanna hear about it.
She's
Oh,
like-
I know,
She's
I
like,
know.
I'm waiting for you with my arms open. I'm like, thanks for the comfort, right?
So I think
It's good, it's all good.
Oh, I
How
know,
you doing?
I know.
Not bad, not bad.
Maintenance
complain.
593.
So listen, that house is still available, the one on Keel.
Yeah, what happened with those offers? They didn't go through.
So Sean, there was a realtor, he put in an offer.
Yeah, the Remax person, right?
He went, yes, he went to the city of Vaughan to request, the garage be built.
They have two different condo boards.
And they gave him
Two different condo
the
boards.
permission to, but with certain guidelines.
So that's 55, you see, it's still
Like,
618 or 6 to 700.
Well, what was he thinking? I mean, it's a heritage home, they're not gonna build, you can't build the modern garage, build something, right?
Cover, a
Right.
carport, a simple structure.
But he wanted like,
Same as square
Like
footage.
he wanted a both sides garage,
right,
shelving, like a full, like, look, you know, that is,
Well, that's
let's say modern day.
right,
Because the girl I'm with, she's.
Yeah, good change, other
yeah.
amazing.
Right.
She loved the house, and she still thinks about it, she keeps texting me, Mariana, that house, I said, it's still available.
Okay.
He's
It's
willing to
beautiful.
really, he's really willing to, yes. Reason being, he purchased that house at a good price. It was a
I
family-
appreciate that, Sean,
The
thank
whole
you.
square there.
It was a family thing as well. What ended up
Awesome
happening
leadership.
is,
You said they're not.
It's in the middle.
we
No.
renovated it and the
This
other
is,
one.
so this
So
is
the
based on,
granddaughter was over there,
the square footage of
not
this.
that.
And
It's ready
this
to
is
move
actually
in
just
here.
trying to create a higher,
Listen, especially that room, the family room, with the
That's
art
where it
doorway,
was
she
something
found
that-
out.
So this one says the same thing, 690.
They're both 690.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Went down to the S and here, this is your storage.
They are very similar in terms of what I'm looking for.
This could also
It's
be
even
the
the same
same,
one,
could also be
He was hoping to get, but I'll tell you,
but this one, the tax is not assessed because this is a new one.
we worked on
Would it be that?
So this is lower,
it. Yeah.
This is lower, and you want
new buildings, don't establish.
Okay, all right, you know, that's what it is. I'm used to it. I
What is
think
that?
it's all the time.
Basically, say, hey, what's the condo board?
I know.
And then the condo board will have.
So when I talked to him, he's like, oh,
Say
let's
this
go,
is this,
I'm like, yeah, so,
this is the data board. So, and then they'll start saying. Why are people in one building responsible for the?
I call him, you call him.
If I put an offer,
Where do you figure out all
It's a lot going on.
and for any reason they did.
that? Do you know where, or you don't?
What are you gonna do? Let's be honest, let's
And my brother-in-law calling, he wants to come.
you gotta be, okay, the weather, forget about the weather.
The weather, you can inside, it's not.
The weather.
But yeah, tell me, listen,
I guess.
no, that's right, there you go.
All right, I'm gonna give her a shout, okay?
Give her a shout, see,
I
listen,
can't.
we
But I
were-
was thinking about
Celeste
you
will
so
talk
much,
to you.
and then last week I was in and out, busy, because I had,
I can't see
Yeah,
anything, the tenant doesn't allow it. And there's already two offers.
No, don't put it off for your.
Well, two offers already on the apartment.
Nino? Yeah. I missed the gala last weekend, as I said,
Is it a real?
but yeah, Nino, I'll support Nino.
Nicole, the
Yeah.
Christian Haskell, where-
Yeah, I'm thinking about going there too. It's my birthday that day. So what? I wanna go back.
It's your sweet 16.
Oh,
Wait a couple
yeah.
days after, there's a lot that.
Multiplied by,
Hey, no one needs to know, I put all the cream in the milk, so I don't know about that, it's right up there.
Okay, yeah.
Right. There's gonna have people using microwave and coffee while you're in the session, right?
Where do you even know that over there?
Yeah, so, you know what, there's time that people run in and out, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, he's being sometimes, eh?
Always overtime. I know.
Okay, and because it's not a test, you guys can all start moving up. He doesn't bite.
We're not gonna be asked questions at the end, and see who's listening. what? I first let him sit down and I said, oh, you got the
The
back
back
up front.
Oh my gosh, that's a throwback for me. When I went to get my NILD, because I graduated NILD, the day of my exams, I got there like super early. If I could have slept outside, because I knew I had all my notes and I was gonna sit in the back. And so I get there, I'm like, yes, I sat in the back. And there was an inspector, because it's done through an inspector. He stood up, he said, okay, now everyone from the back comes to the front. Everyone from the front. So now that you said that, that was actually chilling a bit. And I was like, so I went to the back like
Did
20
you also
times.
write answers to basic questions on each finger? I did that too.
I had little notes all over the place, like tiny little notes.
Well, you can't be doing that when you're.
No, but as a woman, you can do this. And so went to the bathroom a few times, but mind you, it's always Italy, so it's like, you can do it.
I'm sure you have the flying colors.
Yeah. It was good. It was actually very good. Fresh coffee. Call me later. Let me know because
Yeah.
I'm willing to help. I mean, yeah.
I know you are, but I couldn't, I
know you can't push it because it is
you
small,
can't push too much, you know what I mean?
but I know to what extent I can push.
I didn't know that.
Set the people up there.
It's really common. I don't know if there's a way to.
I doubt. Right now, usually Jack has a son.
Really?
There's a fuse code.
Huh?
There's some fuse code.
There's lots of use codes,
Yeah.
They're very hard, okay.
Was this a list of the,
Attendees, yes. I'll start taking,
Thank you.
Oh.
and then I'll send you the follow-up email, other email, so you can follow up.
Unlike their business,
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Too often you get confused with those scammers that say they're gonna arrest you.
Yeah, I got a call not too long ago about a search warrant.
Oh, yeah.
There's a, your social insurance number has been shut down. Good, I'm like, thanks.
You know what I do when they do that? I said, who's coming out to get me? Oh, Officer Smith. I said, why don't you send your mother? Your mother, why don't you come with her too?
It's funny because my trading name is Panza, but my last name is different. So I get this phone call from, but my phone is registered under Panza because it's my business name, right? So I get this phone call from CRA. This goes back.
I've been getting calls too every day from CRA on my cell phone.
Yeah,
But
every day, same
yeah,
thing.
me too.
But I get this call, and it's very awkward because for CRA, I'm Celeste Spinato, I'm not Panza. I get this call saying, Miss Panza, this is CRA. I'm talking to the guy, I'm like, hey, how's it going? You're doing great. Like, just a question, like, are you saying you're speaking to me, you're looking for me, Celeste Panza, then you're not looking for me because it's not me, right? But you see, they get the information from different sources, which could be a phone company, which could be even an advertising subscription you have. It could be anything. So it's not really, I don't believe it's the CRA releasing information. I find it hard to believe. It's really us. Even sometimes we just randomly click thinking it's nothing from a Facebook ad or just a Google ad. We don't know who's taking the
You
information.
don't know how far it's gone.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm getting calls too from CRA. Actually, I'm surprised I haven't received one already. Every morning.
You
Same
know.
person, well, it's not a person, it's a,
So automated.
yeah, about calling, it's urgent.
CRA doesn't call you.
I know, the court of justice, all these weird things. I'm just,
Right.
I wonder how they got my number.
Huh? Yeah, good work. It would be nice if the CRA would call you once in a while to inform you of what you're gonna get in the mail, because you look at it, it's Chinese.
You're in for a rebate or
Right.
something. You're
No, you're never in for a rebate.
Oh, no.
You never, I don't recall being in for a rebate. I do, I
So
get
you
my
get
notice
those
of assessment, and it's like, I owe. That's
Yeah,
it.
I get everything. It's not just CRA. They call me, border crossing or something wrong, I got,
And what have you been doing?
I don't know, apparently
We just CRA, I don't know.
apparently they're, gonna kidnap me at the border next time I'm there.
Okay, so yeah, no one's taking a trip with that in the Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'll be here. I'll be back in a minute. I gotta go grab
No,
some.
mine are just CRA, the Court of Justice.
Court of Justice, I got it.
They started to, proceed, doesn't go ahead.
Yeah. Duck cleaning is a big one.
Oh, duck cleaning every single day.
At least I got a human on the phone with duck cleaning.
You know what I tell them every time they get ducks? I'm with duck cleaning, and I'm going, I don't have ducks, I have chickens.
That's a good one.
Hey,
They're so annoying.
how many square foot is your house? 18,398.
Sundays, even on Sundays, they
Oh,
go.
right.
I like the boxes, don't give up. Good for them.
Or I'll say 168 square feet. They can be. Yeah, it's a tiny house. You ever seen that show, Tiny House, Big Living? That's what I.
This is on taxation, right?
What, today? No, this is growing plants in the summer as a hobby.
What plans?
Growing plants in your garden during the winter as a
Oh,
hobby.
amazing.
Yes.
Best time to do your taxes, tax season or December before?
You know when the best time of year to think about your taxes are as a self-employed businessman or woman? You start on January 1st and you end on December 31st. Best time to start keeping.
We might do that next couple weeks.
What's with all the construction? How long has that been going?
Years.
Years.
Years and years.
If I had to come into this office, I wouldn't come in this.
They're building, they have to do the sewer system. And in addition, they're doing a bus paths, all at the same time.
How do people get by now? Because it's one lane up, one lane down.
It's functional, you can get back and forth. There's odd days where they just shut everything down.
What are those monstrosities in the middle of the road that overhang?
That's the bus stop.
That's the bus stop.
Those will be the bus lanes.
Do they separate bus lane?
It's gonna be in the middle, just like Highway 7.
I saw that. I drive on Highway 7, but not anymore. And I'm like, what is this for? It's not functional.
Shouldn't people cross together anyway? Shouldn't, like, it's still going to,
What I don't understand is the road was that many feet wide to begin with. Where did they find the space to put a bus lane in the middle?
so their opinion, it works. I don't know. I haven't taken Highway 7 in forever. Anybody took it and noticed the traffic lighter there? Or I think it's still heavy.
I
Has
don't take
anything
Highway
changed?
7, I
No.
take 16.
You know who started that first up in Newmarket? I drive through Newmarket quite often along Davis Drive by their courthouse there. Same thing, you call them monstrosities. And if I'm stopped at a stoplight and the bus comes by, there's just 3 people.
Yeah.
4 years of construction to do these, there's just 3 people.
I guess it's to prevent the right lane from being taken by the buses. The
Well, you
buses
know what
will
happens
remain in the middle.
in Newmarket,
Yeah.
the bus that turns left, and if I'm in my car and I wanna turn left, we both turn left. But what happens sometimes is an idiot here wants to go
Wants to
through,
go
and this
straight.
guy turns left, and
Yeah.
you got, boom.
There's more pylons in Richmond Hill than there are people now, I feel.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy.
There he is, the man of the hour.
Oh, my lord. The things you see when you don't have a gun. Betsy, how are ya? Nice to see ya.
You too.
Wow, long time.
Yeah, we got a good turnout for you.
You cut your hair. I noticed, I remembered you with longer hair.
So you're good, huh?
I'm good. everybody, they've all grown up, we're all alone now. Running around this big old house, need to sell it, no need to make it. Betsy did some work for me years ago, she used to be my realtor. That's how I know her.
No, I'm still your realtor.
Well, I don't have anything in the past, whatever, that's, used to be my realtor, 2 or 3, I can't remember how many. Mine, my mom's, nieces,
Yeah, 3.
maybe another one I can't remember. See the power of networking, when you get one, you get that referral, right? You just gotta get the right referral.
You gotta do, and you have to do a good job.
Well, of course.
Yes.
Hey. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? Okay.
Well, they told me 11, but will there be others attending?
Well, then just get started, Danny, and then, you know, like, that'd be prompt, right?
I think Celeste said to wait till she comes back. We're still a few minutes. Why don't we take a minute? Tell me your name. Tell me your name.
My name is Han.
How long you been a realtor?
45 years.
45 years. You got a little bit of experience.
Well,
I'm highly,
no, actually more than that.
And more than that.
I'm only here registered for 3 years.
You're a newbie. Are you all with? You're all with this firm, right? Here.
I'm sorry.
You're all with this firm?
No, I'm starting with this one as with A. LePage.
No. Let me ask you again slowly. You are all with this firm?
No, I started with A. LePage and becoming Royal LePage. Yeah, it's still the same firm, but it's different.
But you're all with this firm, whether it
Yeah,
started
well,
as
yeah,
Danny's Real Estate or Royal LePage.
Yeah. Start with A.
Your
LePage.
name?
Valentina?
And you're obviously.
Yes.
How many years?
No years. How many
How long have you been a salesperson?
weeks?
A week.
More
Really,
than,
a
more than
newbie?
a week.
One?
More than a week.
More than a week.
About a month.
About a
Yes.
month.
Yes.
Real newbie.
Thank you.
Your name?
Francis?
How long have you been doing it?
Less than half a year.
Less than half a year.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it gets better.
Thank you.
Mel, how long?
2 years.
2 years? I won't ask Betsy. How long have you been doing this, sir? Yeah.
Registered 2014, I'm gonna have probably
5 years.
6 years coming in a couple days. 4.5 years.
1.5 years? Yeah, right. You just-
I'm in the business for 5 years, but starting the realtor February.
Just
In the
February.
mortgage.
Okay. You, sir, how long have you been doing this?
Fresh off the boat.
Fresh off the boat.
Oh, were you?
2008, so 11 years.
11 years.
Almost 10.
10 years?
I'm gonna be on it, 2 years.
2 years. So we got from right out of the womb to 45 years. While we're waiting for the others to show up. Oh, I forgot to ask you. 30 years. 30 years. While we're waiting for the last few to come in. My name is Danny Ducas. When I was at the CRA, they used to call me the tax man. I spent 35 years in collections in Toronto Center, and I was probably behind all the nightmares you used to read about in the Globe and Mail. Now that I'm on this side, I call myself taxman, 2 X's, 2 N's. That's how I bill myself. The presentation I'm about to share with you today is what I present to lawyers, to accountants, to bookkeepers, to realtors, and anybody else that's interested. This one I present to you today will be realtor specific, because you're realtors, right? I spent 35 years in collections at the CRA, all of it at Toronto Center, all of it in collections. When I say this to you, like that gentleman there, he probably has not seen anything in his life. That won't shock him. I have not seen anything. I've seen it all. Excuses, anytime a taxpayer would give me an excuse, I would give him an answer right off the bat. Anytime now a client gives me an excuse, I would give him an answer. Anytime a CRA, when I'm talking to him now, gives me an excuse, I give him an answer. It's here. You know, I don't even have to think about it. It just comes up. So I think those of you that have more than 15 years of experience when you're dealing with a lead or a FISBO or a client or a competing or a cooperating broker, you know how to structure your dialect and your words, right? Those of you that are new will learn from those that have been here before. So what I'm trying to do now is work with my firm in terms of helping people who need help with the CRA. So let me ask you, before I get into the session, how many of you are self-employed? Hands down? Of course. You see, like a good lawyer, a good presenter never asks a question, the answer to which he doesn't know before. How many of you want the CRA as your partner in your life? Put your hands up. That was a shock. No. How many of you know that the CRA is a partner in your life? Yeah, this is the time when everybody should put their hand up. And if you haven't put your hand up, you're new or don't know or you won't succeed. The CRA is a partner in your life whether you realize it or not. This presentation that I will deliver to you today is what I call TAXOLOgy 101. I'm actually writing a book right now, literally writing a book. And it's not like chapter 1 to chapter 15, I'll do one. As the thoughts come out, I will write the book, the chapter, put it in there. And then as another chapter, an idea comes out, write it up, put it in there. This is the chapter on TAXOLOgy, how it can help you. Now, I don't usually flip through this, but I've identified this for you guys as brokers, right? So, let me just say at the beginning that a good speech, a good presentation, a good listing presentation, a good sales pitch is like a comet in the night sky. It's brilliant. It's awe-inspiring. And it's over before you know it. So I promise I'll deliver on one of those 3 characteristics for you today. What I want to do is, my job is to speak and your job is to listen. So at the end of this, I will leave you with things you can take away that will help you in terms of dealing with the CRA. Because whether you realize it or not, they're in your life and will be in your life. Has the CRA been in your life for 45 years? Of course. Will the CRA be in your life for the next 45 years? Now, this is what I call tips and tricks in dealing with the CRA. The must-knows, the need-to-knows, and the I wish I knew that before I did this. Now, with that as a background, I would like to ask you, don't put your hands up. I would like to ask you if you've ever had a challenge with the CRA, if you've ever dealt with it improperly, if looking back on it, you think I could have done it differently, then this is something that will help you. So parts of this I will read directly and then I will explain and embellish. If you have any questions, put your hands up. If I say that's on slide 9, we'll get to it. Please tolerate me. And then if it's something that we need to explain, we will. Because I want you to leave here in about, should be done by 6:30. I want you to leave here understanding that, yeah, I remember that. I remember this, and here's what I can do about it. So first of all, when you're dealing with the CRA, you have no choice. You have to file a tax return. If there's anybody in here that did not make $400 in income last year, A, you shouldn't be a broker. B, you don't have to file a tax return. But if you made more than $400, you have to file a tax return. My grandson does a paper route, he's made more than $400. I got to file a tax return. Did I? No. Why? Because I'm the tax man. I know how to get out of it. So file all your tax returns on time. Do not wait. Do not skip them. File it. It's not your choice. Imagine if you're doing a listing, a presentation, a sale. You got all the paperwork. You get it back to your broker. The broker reviews it. By the way, and says, well, you know what? I don't want to do that. You don't have a choice. If you don't do it according to REBA and everything else, you don't have a deal. By the way, I shouldn't tell you this, but I have my broker's license. Been there where you are, many years ago. I don't sell real estate anymore because I'm not a real good seller, right? But I've done it. So when you say listing present, all this stuff here that I flipped over, been there, done that. I was with a competitor, a competing firm that shall remain nameless, but it wasn't too successful, so I left and I became the tax. As self-employed business professionals, you may go to your accountant and say, you know, I'm missing this receipt, so I can't file my tax return. Is that a wise thing to do? No. Why not? Sorry?
Just file with what you got.
File the return, and then when you find that receipt later, you, if the CRA asks, you provide it. If they don't, no problem. If you lost some receipts, what are you supposed to do? File your return. If you're waiting for a letter from someone confirming a commission or something else, what do? File your return. Don't wait. Wait for the letter, wait for the T4, wait for the T5. Don't wait to file. You don't have all the facts or the numbers, your accountant says, well, you know what? What's your name again? Honey, I can't do your return. Get another accountant. It's like, you know, if you come and list my house and do it, and you blah, 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 and you say, well, Danny, I don't have all the paperwork here, so I don't need you anymore. I'll go call somebody else. You don't have an option. You're required by law to file. File it. If you don't file, I'll tell you later what those penalties are. Try not complying with REBA bylaws. Try not complying with your broker's bylaws. See how long you sit here. The late filing penalties can be up to 10% or 25% of the tax that is owed. So if you file your tax return, I'm picking numbers. So let's say I earned $100,000 in income last year from commission. And on that income, I would owe $30,000. If I don't file my tax return, once I do file it, $30,000 taxes owed, 10% is how much? $3,000. 25% is how much? 7.5. So not filing a tax return is going to cost you $3,000 to $7,500. First offense. Second, double that. I have clients that come to see me and say, Danny, I haven't filed for 5 years. No, bastards and this and that. No, look in the mirror and that's who you blame. Look at the guy in the mirror or the lady in the mirror, that's who you blame. Now, if you're going to be charged that much in late filing fees, welcome. Between $3,000 and $7,500, that will be nothing compared to the grief that comes your way when you do file them all at once, because you got to file them anyway. And you could have used that $300 to $7,500 to hire a good professional to deal with it. How many of you know what a FSBO is? Right, the new guy says for sale by owner. You experienced guys don't know what a FSBO is. You walk by this FSBO, you're talking to them, you got a rapport, you got 4 calls, and you think you got a listing, and then you look at it later, it was sold for less than they could have got. The offers screwed up everything. I could have done that. Well, if you don't have professional help, if you have this situation, you're like a FSBO trying to sell their own property without professional help. Retain all of your receipts. This is something that I learned the other day. Oh, by the way, I have 2 phones. I have a honey phone and a money phone. That's what my boss called it. This is for my honey and this is for my money. That's why I have 2 phones. So what you do is you go put gas in the car, get the receipt, click, send it to your account. I don't know, you take somebody out to dinner, $50, Harvey's hamburgers, $20, click, send it to your account. I didn't know you could do that. Just found out now. So guess what I've been clicking at? Keep all your receipts, whether it's paper format, electronic format, in the cloud. My 10-year-old grandson had to tell me what a cloud is. looking up at this guy. We're up here. Dropbox. You guys know what Dropbox is? You have to explain that to me too. Now, for you that's 45 years, I assume you're busy. I assume you have offers. I assume you have expenses. I assume you have all this stuff. You know what shoebox accounting is? You don't take that to your accountant and say, here. CRA doesn't like that either because they're not paid to do your accounting. If you take the shoebox accounting to the CRA, they'll say, we're looking at that and it'll assess you owe 100,000. Prove me wrong. Then go prove them wrong. And then you can go spend 50,000 on a rep to prove them wrong. Or you can spend $5,000 initially to put it together to prove it right so that they look at it and say, no problems here, I'll go on to his file. Yes?
Who's the burden of proof on?
Sorry?
When dealing with CRA, because sometimes CRA will scare you. And will say, you owe us $8,000.
That's page 9. That's page 9. The burden of proof, it's not your name, Andrew? Adam. It's not a burden of proof, it's an onus. The onus is you as a taxpayer. Now, currently where I am, I get a T4 slip. So if I try to monkey around and screw around, my employer sends in a copy, I can't do that. But you guys don't get T4 slips, you get T5s, right? T4A, whatever it is. Until the broker sends a T4A, the CRA doesn't know in real time what you earn, what commissions you have, what expenses you have. So the onus is on you. There's no burden here, it's an onus. It's an obligation legally. So the onus is on you. But you'll see later on page 19 that you're guilty till you prove yourself innocent. You don't want to get to that stage. This is what this will help you stay away from.
Can I ask a question?
You just did.
If
Another one?
if you are behind in your filing, whatever tax you think you owe, and you deposit it into your account, CRA account, and then file the return later on, can you do that?
Yes, you can. But there's a proper way to do it. You know, you don't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah, I agree, but sometimes.
You don't cash your commission check before you sign the offer and get it accepted.
Right.
Yeah, but yes, your name, sorry?
Hassan.
Hassan, yes, you can do that. Yes. So categorize everything. Here are my expenses. Click, click, click. Here are my commission checks. Click, click. Here's my dinner receipts. Click. Here's my automobile expenses. Click. And then when you know, I even know how to set up in notes here all those categories. Put them in there, send them to your accountant. Boom, it's done at the end of the year. That's not a cost. That's an investment. By the way, I don't do accounting. I wasn't hired for my looks or my accounting ability. I was hired for my taxman ability. I don't compete with tax brokers. I don't compete with accountants. I don't compete with anybody. There's nobody that does what I do. Nobody in the country that does what I do. That's fact. Check it out yourself. Always foster and maintain a professional relationship with the CRA unless, as that lady said, she gets 5 a day. We're going to seize your bank account, you're arrested, your SIN number's been blocked, blah, blah. That's not the CRA. Those are scams. Those are scams, right? Those are scams. I think he's reporting me to something. That guy was just left. Sorry, somebody said something? Always foster a relationship with the CRA. They're your silent partner. The person that calls you is an idiot, but the CRA is your silent partner. Can't get away from it. Always be kind and courteous, but firm with any caller. Do not be intimidated by the CRA caller. If you know how to talk to them, they'll be intimidated of you. What do I mean by that? Somebody calls you, get a name. Hi, what's your name again?
Han.
Han. Can you spell that for me, please? What's your phone number? And what's your fax number? What is your job description? Oh, what's your fax? What's your boss? By that time they hang up. Now, why do you want to do that? You want to do that because if something screws up later, you want to know who you're talking to. And just like when you're I keep focusing on this guy. Just like when you're working on a file and you're trying to close, put through an accepted offer, at that point, do you care about what anybody else says other than your client? You sign it and get it done, right? All the work is done. So if somebody calls you, where are you from? I'm from appeals, or I'm from collections, or I'm from business audit. You know, there's 19 areas that they could work at. If somebody calls you saying they're from collections, what kind of questions will they be asking you?
When are you
When
gonna
you
pay?
will pay.
What kind of questions will they be asking? If they are calling from collections, what kind of questions will they be asking? Collections questions, right? Yeah, when are you gonna pay? Of course. If they say, I'm calling from appeals, what type of questions will they be asking? Appeals questions. If you haven't filed an appeal, is that guy really who he says he is or she? No. If they say, I'm calling from business audit and I want to audit you, your name, your phone number, your fax number, your job description. If they say I'm a collection officer, then they don't want to audit you. Why do you get the manager? And you write this down. That lady is writing, this lady is texting her boyfriend or something, I don't know. But you write it down. Name, address, phone number, fax number, boss number, your job description. So that 3 years from now, if you come to me for help, oh, who did you speak to? I don't know, somebody called me. Somebody called me. Well, that helped me a lot, right? Hang on a second. But if you say, John Smith called me from appeals and this and that, you ever filed an appeal? No. Then you didn't talk to John Smith. We can track who did what. Question.
Okay, so in these days, do CRA often call us or call people? Because there are so many, yeah.
Okay, so first of all, if somebody calls you and says your SIN has been blocked, it's a scam. Somebody calls and says I'm sending somebody to arrest you, it's a scam. If somebody demands Netflix or Google Coin or whatever that other stuff is, it's a scam. CRA doesn't do that, right? I love to keep those. Oh no, you're not going to arrest me. I have children and a wife. Please don't arrest me. We're going to arrest you. What's your name? John Robertson, right? Like he's a John Robertson, right? Well, we're sending somebody. Okay, where are you? Can I meet? You have to meet us at Walmart at Pape and Danforth. Okay, I'll meet you at Walmart. That's not the CRA. I keep them on the phone because I have time to waste and keep them from somebody else. That's not the CRA. If they say my badge number is, that's not the CRA. CRA doesn't have a badge number. If they say under court number blah, 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 that's probably not CRA because they're not going to do that if it's the first call. You say what I always, oh, court number, let me write it down. What court is it?
That's the CRA.
It may be this number. I didn't set this up, it may be. That's the money phone. It may be, I never set it up.
They're gonna leave you a message.
The CRA will say, hi, Betsy, my name is Danny Ducas. I'm with the Toronto office of the CRA Elections Division. I'm just taking over your file from John Smith. Do you have time to talk to me? Yes, that's a CRA call. What you should do is, I don't, but my rep, the tax man does. Here's his name and phone number. Okay, so always inquire what the nature of the call is and what is expected or demanded. Name, phone number, fax, your job description, your boss, what are you asking me? Why are you calling me? If you're calling me to threaten me, to arrest me, or block my SIN number, you're a moron. Go tell your mother this. That's what I tell you. Always keep the CRA informed about your current address. How many of you moved in the last year or 5 years? Oh, 10 years. If the CRA doesn't have your address, if you're self-employed, which you are, if you haven't filed, which some of you may not have, they may be doing stuff to you while you're listening to me now that you're going to find out about tomorrow, next week, next month. Always keep them up to date. Is your change of address temporary? Are you going through a marital issue? Are you helping, your kids or something? Life comes up, shit happens. Let them know, change your address. If they can't get a hold of you, what do you expect them to do? They'll do stuff that you don't want them to do when you find out they're doing. Somebody earlier was saying, how do they get a hold of you? Names, property searches, property registries, credit bureaus, mortgage brokers, PPSA listings, REBA. If you know how to find somebody, I could find somebody in an hour. Just give me a name, I'll find them. Looking for a client that owes you money? Charge you a fee and I'll find them for you. That's how they do it too. It's all public records. Yes, sir.
Do they have to serve you?
Sorry?
Do they have to serve you?
No. Question is, do they have to serve you? I think he means in a legal sense.
Yeah.
No. If they want to prosecute you, if they're threatening to put you in jail, yes, they have to serve you. Adam, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Adam. I'm Danny Ducas, manager at the CRA. You can search. That's all you got to do. And that's a subpoena, or that's a warrant, or that's whatever. Yeah.
But not civil.
No. CRA doesn't do anything civil. The FISBO analogy that I gave you, do not FISBO this yourself. I mean, in a few minutes, you can get rid of that scammers. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's legit. You got CRA issues, audit, pre-audit, during audit, post-audit, collections, appeals. Don't do this yourself. You're FISBOing your own life away. Get a professional involved to help you with it.
Does CRA ever call you?
Does CRA ever call you? All the time.
Do they send you a letter? How do they
All the
communicate? The preferred means of communication for them.
There's no preferred means. That's like saying, what's the preferred means of doing a sales list? Well, you do it different, she does it different, he does it, he's gonna do it different, right? It's unique. That's how long have you been doing this job?
Long time.
How long?
Over 20 years.
Okay, so you're one of the more experienced ones, right? You could teach others how to do a listing. So there's no preferred way. There's no Bible on how the CRA works, right? They administer legislation, income tax, excise tax act. They administer policy. You gotta pay in 6 months if you owe. You gotta file on April 30th. You gotta, all that stuff. That is standard. That is in stone. But how they do that? When I was there, as long as you worked with me, if you couldn't pay in 6 months because I worked in collections, I said, you know what? Send me 12 checks. And as long as you don't bounce one, won't hold your file again. Another guy will say, I want check tomorrow certified, or I'm gonna put you in jail.
So each individual has got complete discretion over how they handle.
No, each individual thinks they're the king of the hen house and they're gonna do what they want until
So they
you
got
put them in their place. Not each individual, but some, like me. So don't FISBO it yourself. You're treading on thin ice and you're working with your financial future. Don't do that yourself. Keep your rep apprised of all developments on your file. Keep your rep instructed. The clients that I have, I talk to them regularly, whether it's a collections matter, an appeals matter, an audit matter, and we deal with it. Hi, I just got a call from your appeals officer yesterday. They've asked me for this and this. Can you provide it? Whatever this, and this is. If not, then tell me what you can do, or we'll do an affidavit, we'll do something to support what they want that you can't give me. Hi, they called me about collections. They want copies of your bank statements for the last 3 months. Is there anything in there, if I give it to them, that's going to be problematic? You know? Are you carrying a girlfriend on your side that the wife doesn't know about? Are you spending $100,000 a month in the casino that you don't want them to know? I vet all that stuff before we send it to them. Always send your expenses, as I said earlier, click it, send it to your accountant, keep the accountant apprised. Don't wait till the end of the year. That's why I said your tax season is January 1 to December 31. Your listing season, your dealing with clients season is January 1 to December 31, right? So why should your taxes be different with your silent partner? Keep organized and always audit ready. Now, if you have problems with the CRA, whether it's collections or you're being audited, you know you have them. So you should seek professional help. But if you filed all returns on time, if you've paid your taxes, if you've paid your GST, if you've got no problems with REVA, with your broker, with the CRA, you're living a pristine life. Somebody calls you, even if they're from the CRA, you don't have to talk to them. Why? What's your name, your phone number, who you with, what's your job description? Well, hang on. CRA has a mandate to administer the Income Tax Act and the Excise Tax Act. They can't do it willy-nilly, but they try to. That's where people like me and others like me help individuals who are, oh my God, the CRA, what am I going to do? I can't call them. I love taking those calls. Legislative deadlines must be respected at all times. These are not requests. This is the law. I forgot what the legal guidelines are. It's been so many years since I did what you did, but try using one of them. You'll get censure or sanctions from REBA. If you file, excuse me, if you have to file by April 30th, if you file 1 day late, which is May 1st, you're late. 1 day late, 1 year late, you're late, 25% penalty. Well, I didn't have a slip, I didn't have a receipt, I was waiting for a check or a copy. We've already dealt with that. File it anyway. Yes?
Isn't it 6% per annum, not 25% on principal?
See, there's a guy there challenging me on everything. The 6%, Adam, is interest.
Yeah.
That's exigible on all assessments. The 25% is penalty for late filing. So in your example, if you filed late, you get let's say you owed $100,000 in tax, you get a 25% penalty, $25,000 plus 6% on that. So the 6% is the annual interest rate. The 25% is the maximum penalty for not filing. Is that clear?
And they only press that after you're out of communication with them.
No, it's for repeats.
Repeats.
Yeah. So if you didn't file for 5 years and then they assessed you and then you filed for 10 years and then you don't file for 2, you repeat.
This is basically, we'll do this the bad eggs.
The ones that you give them reason to. Like I keep saying to clients, you know, you're like a sore thumb or what do you call that, the red flag to the bull? Yeah. So the 6% is the interest charge annually, the 25% is the penalty on taxes only. And the 6 is in addition to the 25. So in effect, in reality, your effective cost of carrying that tax debt is 31%. It's higher than credit card. Now, CRA imposed filing deadlines must always be respected. Let's say you called the guy, you called me when I was there, and you said, oh, I can't file today's April 30th, I can't file today, but I can file next week. If I say to you, sure, no problem, bring it into me. Can I do that as a CRA employee? No. Who can change legislation? Parliament. Parliament's not going to stop what they're doing to sit and request, to review your request to file late. And if I, as a CRA officer, tell you, you file late, that's 25% plus 6%. They can't give you extensions. They don't have the authorization. Now, always ask to speak to a decision maker. If you're talking about collections, audit, appeals, pre-post, whatever, you hear something like, well, I have to talk to my manager. That's not a decision maker. You don't want to talk to that person. Imagine if you have to deal with your clients and you're always talking to the receptionist. Talk to the receptionist once to get through. After that, you don't talk to them. You talk to the decision maker. Always be mindful of deadlines for objections and appeals. If some of you have not filed any tax returns and now you've filed them, once you get the notice of assessment, you have 90 days to object to it if anything in there is wrong. If you haven't filed, the CRA may do what they call an arbitrary assessment. They guess. How do they guess? They check your prior history. So this gentleman didn't file for 5 years. They go back previously and see his 5 previous years. Let's say he made 100 in each of those previous years. They would now think he's made 100 for the last 5 he didn't file, plus they'll add 50. Why? Because if they assessed him for $2,000, do you think he would ever file? No. So if they know he owes 20, 20, 20 for the 5 years, they'll assess you 30 for each of the 5 years. You get it and say, holy crap, I don't know, these guys are crazy. They're not crazy, they're getting you to file. They always assess high, it's always wrong, always object. Don't let your appeal period expire, otherwise you have no more legislative rights to challenge anything. Those of you that own property, you get your property tax bill. It says on there, your property tax is $10,000 this year. What happens if you get one and it says $100,000 this year? And you don't object to it?
You owe 100,000.
You owe 100,000. Silence is acquiescence. Silence is acceptance. That's why the preacher says, if anybody has any objections, speak now or forever hold your peace. If I now pronounce you man in life and somebody at the back, I object, Sit down, you're too late. If you miss your 30 days, you're too late. You accept it. Your 90 days, you accept it. That's it. Although the CRA can compel you to do many things, calls from the CRA, letters from the CRA are requests, not demands. What's the difference between a request and a demand?
Demand, you must provide whatever they ask. Request means you can get expert advice on how you're gonna handle it.
The first part is correct. The last part, if I got a request, I just put it in the garbage. If this is a request from the CRA, I would just throw it in the garbage. If it says demand, and you'll know the difference very quickly. Demand, you have to comply or they'll prosecute you for failing to do so. A request, might as well say, hi, I'm requesting for you to call me and talk to me about Fluffy. How's Fluffy? Give a shit. Fluffy. Yeah, the cat. Hi, I'm requesting, you can request whoever you want. However, you are hereby being served with a demand for information to supply the following. Under section so-and-so of the Income Tax Act. You don't want to put that in the garbage, because if you do, then they'll prosecute you. Now, how many of you heard the phrase, never volunteer any information? Now, I was actually on a field call when I was at the CRA with one of my staff, and we're talking to this gentleman, and you ask a question, and you know what a pregnant pause is? You shut up and let them fill in the void, because when you experienced investigators will ask a question, look you in the face, and shut up. And that 2 or 3 seconds seems like 2 or 3 years. Everybody wants to, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, do you want my wife too? She's the one that sold the property, not me. Well, yeah, of course I did. Sure. Where is she? Oh, she's right here. Can you give it? Oh, give me that stuff. Sure. I had no intention. I had no idea. He blurted it out. Never volunteer anything more than what they are asking. Make all requests in writing. Hi, Hussein. Just so I don't misunderstand you, would you send me a letter telling me what you request or what you require? I will review it, and then I will respond to it accordingly, or I will call the tax man to respond for me. What they put in writing may not be what they ask you, because verbal, oh, you misunderstood me. But can I misunderstand this? Here's Exhibit A. Make all of your requests in writing. Do not engage in any discussions, even if it's a CRA officer. Thank you for calling me, Valentina. Put it in writing. I'll be glad to get back to you in 2 weeks. Is that okay? Or would you prefer 3 weeks? Who's got control of the conversation? I repeat here, if the receipts are lacking, file the tax return based on the available receipts and assemble them in order as I indicated. That's what they used to call a pro forma return. Get your filing in on time. You avoid the 25%. You avoid the 6%. If you have to, and they call you later, hey, oh, you forgot to enclose this receipt. Oh, 6 months later, between filing and assessment, you got it. You send them a copy. If they don't call, Bob's your uncle. Who cares? Now, what happens if you don't file? Let's say you don't file returns for 5 years. And now, I can imagine somebody here saying, holy shit, you read my mind. I filed for 5 years. Better call my accountant right after this. Go to your accountant, you get 5 years of returns completed, and then you file them up. Guess what happens? How long do you think it will take the CRA to process those 5 years of returns for you? Anybody want to venture a guess?
3 years, 5 days, 3 years.
What'd you say?
3 years.
3 years? What did somebody say there?
5 days.
5 days. You think they're going to drop what they're doing to process your returns? What's your name, sir?
Mike.
Mike. I'm at the CRA waiting, and holy shit, Mike filed his returns. I'm going to drop what I'm doing to process them. It takes 3 years at least, maybe 4. Why? Because they say, especially if they've already assessed you arbitrarily, and what you have filed is lower, and you didn't appeal, they got you over a barrel. Why would they process? They'll take 3 years, 4 years. And in the meantime, you got 25 plus 6 staring you in the face. How do you send documents to the CRA? Sorry?
Return receipt requested.
Yeah. Registered mail. Some of them will say, well, I'm at 36 Adelaide, second floor. Can you deliver them to me tomorrow? Sure. Here. The last you see of them. Registered mail. Somebody has to sign. You keep it. You track it. Photocopy it. So 5 years from now, when somebody else gets it, well, I delivered them to Eileen. Who's Eileen? I have nothing here in your file. You didn't file. But if you have the tracking, they'll find Eileen, they'll find the tracking, they'll find where they went. And if they can't find them, it's their error. They will not 25 plus 60. They won't do it. By the way, you know what they are? Anybody that calls you from the CRA, it's first name, period, last name, at cra.gca.
Dan,
Yes.
just a question. I know we were talking earlier about, like figuring out, a call if it's legit or not. What if, you're asking the CRA rep, you're trying to be, courteous and say, may I have your name? And they refuse and they say, I'll give you my agent number.
That's a scam. That's a scam.
Employee number.
That's a scam.
You have Rogers or something. Is that?
That's a scam.
They don't have agent numbers.
Can it?
Or employee.
For those of you that have a laptop open, can you Google CRA website? CRA.com, CRA.ca? Can you Google it? I think that's what it is. In there, sorry, what's your name again? Liliana? Emiliana. That's a scam.
Well, that's what I thought.
That's a scam. I'm letting you know. Now, if you go into the CRA, I'm glad this came out at this time. If you go into the CRA website, if you look at Info Circular IC89R or Collections Policies, I forget which one it is, Collections Policies, I wrote that for them in 1985. Now imagine in 2019, almost 2020, the CRA is still using stuff that we wrote in 1985. Can you imagine if you did your business today with 1985 rules? Would you be in business long? No. That's before cell phones. That's before internet. That's probably before flight. Right? It's still there. So what does it say in there? I think it's on page 2 at the top of the Collections Policy Manual. If you want to speak to a supervisor, they have to give it to you, their name and number. They have to. The problem is, the person you're talking to, remember I said to you earlier, they're stupid. They don't know their own website stuff. Once a month, I complain to a different office, to the senior manager, about John Smith in your office doesn't know your own damn website. Educate him. I asked for the manager. He said, no, it's none of your business. Damn you, it's none of my business. It's your damn website. I want the name and number right now. And if you refuse, that's disciplinary action against you. And the service complaint, and he gets removed off the file. They have to give you that information. Never deal with the CRA from a position of weakness. Know your limitations and get appropriate help. Don't FISBO this. This is not something you want to drop. Because trust me, half of my clients have tried to save money on somebody like me or somebody else. And then once my manager says, if you squeeze too much toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put that toothpaste back in. I also have a 4-year-old grandson. Guess what he does every time he comes over? Goes into the bathroom and says, I want to brush my teeth. What does he do? My wife goes crazy trying to clean it all up. You can't put that in once you it. So don't it. Get professional help. Now, how many of you, sometimes you ask a question and in so asking you give away the answer? This is one of them. How many of you believe the CRA reps are there to help you? Put your hand up. Anybody puts your hand? Anybody puts their hands up, I quit right now.
It's the other way around.
The CRA reps, who do they work for?
CRA.
The CRA, the Minister of National Revenue. Who pays their salary? The Treasury Board, CRA. Do you pay their salary? No. Do they work for you? No. If you're with a competing broker and that broker doesn't want to work with you because the commission split isn't proper and you've got the deal lock, stock, and barrel, your broker supports you, do you have to deal with that other one? No. You're dealing from a position of strength. They work for a minister. Who does Taxman work for?
You.
Me. Anytime somebody calls you and says, I can help you, they're not going to help you. And if they say something to you, do this, this, and this, if you do this, this, and this, and you get walked into a 25 plus 6, can you complain? No. If I go outside and call downstairs, and as lovely as those 3 people are at the front, if they tell me something about your brokerage that I rely on that turns out to be wrong, can I sue the brokerage? No. They don't bind the brokerage. You talk to a decision maker. They are not decision makers. They're not there to assist you. They're there to collect the account. They're there to audit the file. They're there to do the appeal. They're not there to help you. Despite what they say, oh, I can help you. Trust me, I've done this so long. Here's what you do. And you go do that. Lock yourself into 25 plus 6. CRA personnel who dispense advice or suggestions do not bind the minister. And should you act on such advice and find you are ill-informed, exercise caution when receiving information from them and acting on it. Somebody says, here's what I suggest you do to get yourself out of this problem. What would you say to them?
I'll hire the tax man.
Well, before that, yeah. Ultimately, thank you. Would you please put it in writing so I don't misunderstand you? Because I'm on the wrong side of 50 and I'm forgetful. So please put it in writing. I'll review it and I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. Or would you prefer 3 weeks? When they put it in writing, they can't resile from that. Can't back off from that. You have to control that situation, not be controlled by it. I used to say when I was over there on the other side, you can either be the puppeteer or you can be the puppet. When I was at the CRA, I was the puppeteer, and you would dance to how I wanted you to dance. You're not going to make me dance. I'll make you dance. I'll make your accountant dance. I'll make your lawyer dance. Now that I'm on this side, I know how to make them dance. You're either, you know, in life they say you're either part of the pavement or you're part of the steamroller. You're either part of the puppeteer or you're the puppet. You choose which. You can't be either. You can't be, you have to be one or the other. You can't be both. When dealing with CRA personnel, if it sounds too good to be true, guess what?
It is.
It is. Now, this is what I call my caveats. A CRA official receives 5 years of filings and supporting documents delivered to his desk. I said this earlier. They can't find them 3 years later. The client has come to me, we can't find them. He just walked them in and delivered it to the CRA. That guy's gone, retired, moved on, somewhere else. Can't find them. Where are they? Black hole. Now we got to start from scratch. 26 plus 5 times 5. Sorry, 25 plus 6 times 5. CRA official is told certain information during a
So
conversation.
basically, you're saying that anytime you send the CRA documentation, however you send it, you need to make a photocopy and keep a photocopy of it?
You make a copy, you scan it, you electronic, hard copy, the cloud, drop it, however you have it that you can get it if you need it. And registered mail. That $10 you spend on a registered mail will be the best $10 you ever spent. There used to be a commercial for Fran oil filter. The guy goes, I don't have to change my oil filter. I'm going at 1,000 clicks, right? 1,000 clicks later, he goes to the guy, he says, your transmission's shot, your brakes are shot, everything's shot. Now you owe me $8,000 to fix the car. All you have to do is buy a $4 Fran oil filter. Remember that commercial? I'm dating myself. And at the end, say you can pay me now $4, or you can pay me later, $8,000. Your choice. So always keep copies, always registered with. CRA official told certain information during a conversation that comes back to haunt the taxpayer. Here's how I think you can do this. You don't need an accountant, do it yourself. If you get a letter threatening to prosecute you, you don't need to go to a lawyer. I can help you through this. I'm helping her through this and I'm the one prosecuting her. CRA official informs the taxpayer. That's what we do to resolve his account. The taxpayer follows those instructions right into a prosecution charge later. One of my clients is the managing partner of a big law firm downtown. And he got sucked in by this. The last person I thought would ever get sucked in, senior partner of a law firm downtown on Bay Street. And he got sucked in on this. Why? Because he's a corporate lawyer. He doesn't know CRA crap. You guys sell real estate. You don't know this stuff. I wasn't hired for my looks or my accounting ability. I don't know accounting ability, but I know how to deal with the CRA. He knows corporate law. He doesn't know how to deal with the CRA. So when the collector said, here's what we do, we'll help you, he did it, and now 5 years later he's come to me, he's paying me 20 grand to help him get out of it. Pay me now, pay later. Any questions so far? That last one must have scared you guys. You walked in late. Any questions? Oh.
Okay, I have a question. So when we send the documents to the CRA by registered mail, and there was no particular recipient, I mean, the name, can we just send that?
Question. There's no particular name to who you send it?
Yeah.
If you
Just
don't have a
in general.
John Smith, attention John Smith, you send it to either Sudbury, make a note of this, Sudbury, Ontario, 1050 Notre Dame, which is on the website, or 875 Heron Road in Ottawa.
So we can
Now,
still
none of
send
you
by
live
registered.
the other side of Winnipeg, right? The other side of Winnipeg, it's different address. Either Sudbury or Ottawa.
So can still send the documents by registered mail.
Yes,
But general
now,
address.
again, if you're dealing with collections, you say attention collections division manager. If you're dealing with appeals, attention appeals division manager. If you're dealing with audit, you're not going to send it to collections, right? So if you don't have a name, send it to the division, either Sudbury or Ottawa. Yes, sir.
So in regards to maintaining your receipts and things like that, you mentioned that you typically use your phone. Is there any app that you use to send to your accountant, or?
You know what? I'm sure there are. And what is that thing called? I was invited to give them a session last week and I wasn't available. They send out solicitations all the time. I can't remember the name, but any app will do it for me because my manager says, how can such a tax expert be an IT idiot? I had no clue. So all I do is literally take, I'll show you, I got pictures of my receipt and I just send them. What they do with them, I don't care.
Send it to your accountant?
Huh?
Send it to your accountant?
Oh, I send it to my rep.
I see, because my accountant will shoot me if I do that.
Why? No, you can put them in, you can put them on the cloud Dropbox. I mean, you're not gonna fill up with gas and send it to him. You won't be able to pay his bill. You copy it, put it where it belongs, a car expense, meals, whatever, at the end of the month, boom. Yeah, I don't mean like literally take a picture of $40 gas, bless you, and send it to him. Here's my stupid camera. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Can't even find my phone. Can't even find my own phone. But all I do is take a, I go in, I gas up, take it, I'm sitting in my car, turn it on, and then click photo, and that's it. And then I do what I do with it. Yes.
How many agents are currently working with CRA in the entire population?
156,000.
156,000 agents. In Sudbury?
No. 156,000 federal agents. How many in the CRA? 40. When I was up, I left in March of 2016. 48,000 CRA employees.
And how many deal with the actual files for
25,000.
25,000? So 25,000 people are responsible for the files?
No. 25,000 in whatever collections, appeals, whatever. So if you live in Toronto here, chances are one of the offices will have it here. Each office, the Toronto Center, we had 120 collectors. I think North York has 90. Mississauga now has like 150, and Scarborough has 100. So probably 500 in Ontario that may be able to look at your file. Always be on the alert when dealing with any CRA employee. Now, assuming they're not a scammer, which I mean, I like to have fun with those guys. And you know, the first few times it's like scary, you know. But if they say my badge number is, your SIN number is this, your that, or we got guys coming out to get, that's scam. Or Netflix or any of that shit, that's scam. Forget that. But other than that, if you're talking to anybody at the CRA, legitimate, you need to understand who you're dealing with. And again, their name, office location, phone, fax, and job type, right? Because if a guy says I'm a collection officer, he shouldn't be asking you to do an audit. You know, I used to have an analogy there. If you woke up and you go down in your basement, you see a foot of water, and then you run to the phone, you call your hairstylist. You say, I got a flood in my basement. You could. Oh, I don't have a hairstylist, obviously. But if I were to run to the phone and call my hairstylist, I'd say, well, sorry to hear that. A plumber will not call you for electrical work, is what I'm saying. So don't you call a hairstylist for plumbing work. Request the information as to what is being done on your file and the legislative authority. Earlier it said request requirements. Guy says to you, I'm requesting you this information. Oh, great. You know, Danny, can you tell me under what legislative authority you're asking for that? What do you mean? What I mean is, no, you don't hang on. What I mean is, I want to talk to your boss because you clearly don't know your ass for page 8. Always keep notes when speaking to a CRA official. Record the date, the time, conversation. Every time you're talking to a CRA officer or anybody at the CRA, they record your conversation. Now, make sure you understand. I don't mean stop. I'm going to press record. Not audio. They do one of these. So while they're talking to you, they'll say November 7th at 12 o'clock, spoke to her, she said this, I said this, she will do this, I will do this by this. It's all like this. You know, Word document. That's how they record it. You should do the same. No. That's why I'm the wrong side of 50, so I do this, right? See, that's the notes from the last collector I spoke to. September 14th. October 3rd, that was a short call. So the next time I call them, I don't remember talking. Yeah, on November 11th at 11:57. This is what I said. That's what you said. Well, I don't have it here. Oh, something like your problem. It's your problem. Yes.
Sarah asked me for a receipt from 2016.
Yeah. They can ask you for a receipt from 1996.
Are they reasonable? Or
yeah.
Like if I can't provide the receipt, they're rational humans that understand, or they're just gonna press me on the fact that
yes and no. If you can't find it, they'll assess you. And then at that point, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Now the onus is on you to prove it.
And then you just lose.
Hey, I mean, most of you are younger than me, so you know how to use this. That gentleman there was probably not younger than me, but he's on my side of the river. So most of you are younger. Click it, have it there. Just organize it. If you don't have the time to do it, trust me, once they get you, you will find the damn time to do it. And pay people like me or somebody else. So you pay $2,000 to an accountant, which I'm not, to do it properly, or you pay me $20,000 later to help you out of it.
So how many years are you supposed to keep all the documents?
7 years by legislature, unless they can suggest or intimate or prove there's been fraud, misrepresentation, or negligence. If they can prove that or suspect it, then they can go back beyond that, and they can ask you for receipts from 20 years ago.
But you don't have it, you destroyed them.
Then you go by affidavit, and the accountant spoke to you, the lawyer, anything. There's ways to get around it, but it's not going to be easy. And they won't go back 20 years I'm exaggerating unless there's one of those three things, you know, fraud, misrepresentation, or willful neglect. Now, questions? The one thing that I can offer this group is, I used to be a realtor for a while. Not long, and when the CRA found out, they said pick one, so I picked that one and gave this up. But that was in 1989. 20 years later, I don't regret it. I'm happy where I am. I do this. I have clients that I help in audit, collections, appeals, all of that stuff. Because I also have the same credentials you do, when you look at documents, I can also see it through your lens. I have clients that they go to close, and just before they go, the lawyer says, there's a CRA lien there. How many of you have experienced that? You will. Once you go to close, the lawyer calls you and says, we can't close on title because there's a CRA lien. Well, what do? Call the tax man. Or you go and you see something else, like there's a bad credit hit and you can't close. The lawyer says, we can't close. You're waiting on the close tomorrow, you're counting on your commission check, your broker's approved it, everything's done. Lawyer can't close because of some stupidity of somebody else. We go in when a receiver's been appointed. I help mortgage brokers. I do a lot of work with one of the major lenders when their lending screws up, or when they have things happen because the CRA is involved. I help them through it. I help mortgage brokers. I work with trustees. My clients are individuals, corporations, lawyers, accountants, trustees, and a bank. Not that this is a sales process, but I give this to them as well in terms of how you can minimize the impact or keep them off, keep that, bullseye off your back. Come to CRA.
So are you saying that once there's a bullseye in your back, it's there forever?
Like a bad word. You can deal with it, but you need to do it properly, professionally. I can't help everybody on everything. I don't have a magic wand. I tell, hey, I saw your face on the website, 35 years at the CRA, I want to talk to you. I have this, and this. That's great, I can help you with this and this, but not that and that. I don't have a magic wand. So that's what I do, in addition to these types of sessions, to professionals like you across.
Collection settle.
No.
They don't.
Unlike the IRS, the collections division does not settle. The only thing that's a variable with them is time. So if you owe 100,000, they will not accept $99,000 tomorrow to write off the other 1,000. They want 100,000. If it takes you 3 years to pay, then that's the argument in the challenge. The only thing is variable. And going forward, although there's no more penalties, the 6% still applies. Just like a credit card, just like if you owe me money, just like you owe your next door neighbor, the bank, your broker, anybody. There's interest exigable on anything.
Is that 25% in the 6 negotiable?
No.
How long are they gonna stay on, forever?
How long is what stay?
Your debt to our IRS?
Until you pay it. How long is your mortgage stay on your back? Until you pay it. How long does your credit card stay on your back? Until you pay it. How long does the CRA stay on your back? Until you pay it. Any other questions? Did somebody take away one aha moment to think about, or has this been helpful for you? The opportunity cost of an hour of your time times 30 is high for the broker. So has this been okay for you, Ben?
So if the guy who owes money declares bankruptcy, whatever, or it doesn't go away, the CRA debt never goes away.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
CRA debt is expunged by a legal bankruptcy once you get your discharge. It's no different than anything else. Unless at the time you go bankrupt, you have equity in your house, in which case the trustee will tap that equity. So if I have $1 million house, which in Toronto is a shack, I go bankrupt, I have 800,000 equity, CRA will take that equity. The trustee will tap that equity for the CRA.
Where do they stand in the lineup for paying? They're on the top?
They are an unsecured creditor like any other unsecured creditor. However, if they have a lien on title before you go bankrupt, when you do go bankrupt, they take the status of a secured creditor. And then in that case, they don't even have to come to the meeting. Because on any bankruptcy, creditor, the trustee holds a meeting of all creditors. If I'm going bankrupt and you're my creditors, and he's the trustee, he will vote. You're owed so much, so much, so much, how do you vote? Yes, yes, no, 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 yes. Whoever carries the day, I'm bankrupt or not. That's it. But the CRA is an unsecured creditor. It's just if they hold the hammer, if the CRA is owed 100,000 and the rest of you I owe collectively 30, then one vote overpowers everybody.
CRA always takes first position?
No.
No, it's unsecured. Unsecured. The banks.
I have lawyers call me and say, I can't close because the CRA trumps everybody. And I'm like thinking, if you were a broker telling me this, or a realtor, or a hairstylist, I would talk to you. But you're a lawyer, and you're telling me this. Where do I start with you? No, the CRA does not always take priority. They only take priority in deemed to trust situations, which is another session I give. And that's by request only to brokers, to secured creditors, to anybody who has too many creditors chasing too few dollars. So a bank calls a company's loan, the CRA's there, the broker's there, the wife's there, all of that stuff. How you parse that out? That's what I help clients.
Not a lot at you, I know. But I got a
I'm
question.
gonna send you my bill at the end of this.
I go to Burger King, I try and write off Burger King, I have a receipt from Burger King. But does CRA do anything?
No, if that's where you eat, that's fine. And I mean, that would be acceptable. But if you have a receipt for the Royal York for $800 for dinner and you do that 19 times a month, that's no question.
But, there's, for food, it's somewhat subjective, correct?
It's not subjective. It's not. You're getting too far afield from this, but as long as it's reasonable. Realtors, every professional, realtors, doctors, lawyers, accountants, bookkeepers, tax professionals, they average out what they report. I don't know what it is for brokers, but let's say it's 40% expenses. So if you make 100,000 in commission, your expenses should be 40%, 40,000. They know that. So if you file your return as to what the industry standard is within tolerances, you're okay. But if you try to claim $79,000 in expenses, guess who they're going to audit? Or if you try to claim $12,000, guess who they're going to audit? So it's not just padding your expenses or suppressing your income. It's artificially keeping your expenses low. Why? Well, then they won't challenge me if I report less. Well, yeah, they will. Because the way the world works is, the bell curve. This is the bell curve, right? That's the norm in your industry. If you're out here in the tail, you're claiming more, or you're here in the bottom claiming less. These are the ones that are audited. Those ones that are in.
You're saying around 40% is average in our industry?
No, I'm saying if it was. I don't know what it is. That's it. I don't know what it is. I can also tell you this, that when I was at the CRA, my biggest workload.
What? Real estate?
I hope they didn't pick that up.
Why?
But now the
Because we're
system does
independent
it, right?
contractors.
Why is the sky blue?
But now the system does it, right? But it's not a your decision.
No, that's not true. There are some, like, for example, if there's, I think there's 1,800 real estate professionals in Toronto. So let's say the CRA says, okay, here's the 1,800 of all of you that have filed. They'll literally go like this. They'll take this off and they'll say, the next three I'm going to audit. So boom, boom, boom. You, and you. You're audited. They just do that, sight unseen. Or they're going to say anybody that's more than 45 or less than 35, we're going to audit. There are many factors that go into it. Randomness is just one. Anything else other than
So
that guy?
they get selected. So you're selected on a lottery basis, like, just, okay, your name came up.
Yeah.
So if they see that before they come over, they call you, do they go through it and say, this guy, can we actually make money off this guy? We spend money
It
on time.
depends. They could do a desk audit where somebody could call you and then you go through that process of you screening them, name, phone number, fax number, boss, job. Or I've selected, if they select your file for questions, you'll get the call. If they select your file for audit, you'll get a letter. Sorry?
We get a
say dumb question?
No, question,
Oh.
dumb question, hopefully it's not a dumb question. You get 1 million rental calls a day. If CRA needs to audit you or come after you for collection, and they try calling you 1 million times, would they keep trying to call you, or would they eventually send you a letter? So as you don't get penalized for like the 25 and the 6?
It depends. I mean, you as a realtor, if you have a scenario where you can't get a hold of your client, you'll do it differently than this guy, than her. I don't know. But what they're supposed to do is to get a hold of you. I mean, for me, when I was there, I supervised 35 people in my largest team. I would say, look, you tried twice. If you can't get a hold of them, then send a letter. Give them 14 days. If they don't respond in 14 days, I would give it to my field officer to go out and knock on the door. That's me though. Some would call 19 times because they don't want to go out there. Some would just do a letter because they don't want to pick up the phone.
There's no specific phone numbers they use to call you.
Every officer who's employed there has a phone. That's why, I mean, if you Google my name, CRA, you'll still see my old phone number there. They still haven't taken it off. And I've been gone 5 years. You'll still see my team there, 3 of which have passed away since then, which is sad, but we're still there. The CRA is not ones to update their databases quickly.
It would be nice if you get the paychecks.
What's that?
If they send me the paychecks as well.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
I thank you for being so attentive. The questions were proper and good luck.
Thanks, Danny.
You have any business?
You got a business card?
Business card?
Your business card, Danny?
This is your direct number.
What's that?
Have a direct number?
Yes, that's a direct number.
Same money.
That's a direct number.
Here. Can you give this to you?
I'm the best, eh?
You did a great job. You did a great job. Really good.
Thank you.
You've got a good bullshit. Yeah, you can see the bullshit.
That's so funny. Like, why didn't you
All right.
Oh.
Did Celeste take this?
Pretty useful. But I'm not, yeah,
I'm doing one in,
Yeah.
I called my friend.
And so after a year, we want to sell it, and that amount of extra money we get, apply for it as capital.
depends how you treat it. You have no choice, what you have to do is, if you do that regularly, then it's income. If you do it once, it's capital.
It can be like claim as income.
Not according, no, I'm not an accountant, but that's my understanding. If you do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, it's income. You're selling properties. If you do it once, it's capital. You have to check your accountant.
Thank you so much.
All these companies impersonating CRA, calling you,
All the time.
message.
He's back.
Isn't that a criminal?
Of course
If
it's
they
back.
found, if
It's
CRA found us.
not CRA.
Right? Oh, you can't touch it.
They've actually gone to India, they closed down.
Exactly.
Big places, 120
They're calling from overseas.
but now they're doing it in Toronto.
But they call you after 5 o'clock. You know after 5 o'clock, there's no like government shutdown. Like, you know, but it's still legal message.
taxes and everything like that.
I do, but now, for the first time, they give us promises, and every time a black number, then they come from Victoria, we see that stuff, that's why. And they call. They don't come here. No, no, please, don't look alike. Same thing.
I know, that's what I went.
That's how it's done.
But yours is a style.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a combination. I hope it's not huge.
You never know.
I hope it's not.
Why not? She might be down.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish. Yeah, sushi.
Have you been? I went in April. Oh, nice. Nice. The culture. Yeah. It's so different. Oh, yeah. Even in German, our class, they don't want to see German, but they don't teach you. They just do it. Me too.
What? They have what?
They respect.
Depends on the woman. It depends on the woman. Everywhere there's a man who loves chicken. Look at your friend Chloe. He can't look at it. He can't look at it. He cannot look at it. That is nice. Really? Look at God bless him. He else his wife is fun.
Oh, do they share varieties? That's nice. So you
No,
gotta be a bitch.
no. You gotta respect it. When you act like that.
I see this on a video. This is my clients. Why? Leave me alone. But I think yeah.
Good to see you.
Oh, heard of saying that?
Yeah, I'm glad to know this. Sorry, it's okay.
Same shit. Dude, I am fed up with my client. With the lease. With the lease. Yeah. Unbelievable. These guys, they want to see like freaking 20 properties in order to make it this two.
They're asking for showings?
Yeah, so I already left an offer that day that we went. I got them, I'm like, just doing it in a way that we're gonna have an option, like choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, right? So if the offer doesn't go through, then we can move on to the second choice, right? They only go for the first choices, they don't make commitment to the second and third. So far, I've showed them like 20 units.
Let them know that the average showing is 12.
This is for a lease.
There's 12 to, the average is 12 to purchase a house. Purchase a house. We're at 20 for a lease.
For a lease, yeah. Unbelievable.
And then I would say this is the last time I'm taking
I can't because it's fine. It's a referral. I have to take care of the bus. Unbelievable.
Alright,
My cousin.
vet the listing, too, vet the listings, don't take it on anything.
چه خریدی برداشته به هم مسیج بده Great. That's an offer accepted. Doesn't that mean you still have not drafted any offer? We can discuss the process of drafting offer. I have already provided with Thank you for your call. Oh, دیشب به هم مسیج داده 10 days later and it's still up. Did you end up speaking to this as well? اینو دیشب ignore she. بعد زدم که thank you for your call. I have sent you another listing. You know, it's yours. الان مسیج داده گفتم اگه میخواد که بشین بهت بگم چجوری درایو کنی ولیو رو الان مسیج داده the mortgage application drives value اگه یه تجربه سعی باید
Be here later?
Probably till 4. And then I'm going to showing.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Sounds like a plan.
Hello.
Hello.
Mortgage, I don't mortgage, for mortgage compañía mortgage for the day. Mortgage study.
It's Maria.
من خواهد بپرسیدن نتونی من خوشم ندارم که مخالف مچگیری بوده
Grab my keys.
stands for Raya. Listing of بذار الان فکر کنم ببینم دیگه هیچ بقیه قرار سر نمیاد خبرشو باز بده جونه هم دلتم الان کم ببین من چجوری هم بیزینس بهتون میدم شما یه دونه کلاین فرستادی سمت من
آقا به من هم بده.
یه دونه کلاینت من هر روز اومدم اینجا دارم میشینم
corner لاته یعنی تو ایست ایست همون باشه 400 اینا متغیر آپشنمون همینه شاید بشه فهمید که چقدر شاید بشه فهمید شاید بشه که مثلا بریم هم دفتر چیز تو پاسپورت بشه برای هم دفتر بپرسیم چجوری این یا زیدم روش رفته این ابداییدم یا زیدم روش رفته دوباره سه فقط داری روش میشه برای طبقه 8 طبقه 16 درست توسعه بعد پنج تا به مشتریون
سلام جان. شما رفتی جان؟ دیگه ما کلا نمیدونیم. شما کارش بشید شده مادی تو واسه
سرقفلی هم اینجا سرقفلی دست من
میبینیم دیگه حالا درش میگه دیگه باید حتما
پسر خیلی خوبی بود که مادر زنگ زد
دوباره دویدم میپرسیدم دوباره این اسه 1+1 طبقه 2 ایرانیش داد
پسر اینجا به دنیا آمده ایرانیه
جهتش میفهمی کنه
بس خوبیه نه توی کار اشباک
اپروکسیمتلی 600
او برم کار میکنه تنها دوتا پروژه بده دیدم میشه خودش میگه یک از
کمتر 600 که نیست نمیگه حداقل 600 من این آشم برم گرفتم دارم مریمه خلیفه گرزم کرده محسن چیستان من این آشم برم گرفتم که ببینید همیشه هم برم گرفتم همه برم گرفتم توی میلت هست چیزی که میدونی 88 بازار آن بوست 800 square feet plus این چیه مثلا یه 612 میشه تقریبا 850 تا من نقل ببخشید 850 اومدش تو بازار 100 تا پارک میشه 150 تا داره فروش میده اسکوار فیت 850 تا اومدش تو بازار اسکوار فیت مثلا یه 600 میشه 500 پارکینگش هم جدا چرا 950 پارامون هم اومده پارامون خیلی پروژه خوبی من اگه اون داشتم می‌خریدم بعد ترس پارامون 8 تا چیز میده بالا میشه میمونه گوشاش خراب میشه این چیزه ماله اینجاش دو تا برج اینجا میده بالا دو تا برج اینجا این برج 5 تا برج میده بالا این الان یه برجش میکانیزم از پارکینگ این هم مثل همین نمیدهش برای این چیکار داره بریم این سگش میارزه بعد این چیز میادش اینجا خوبه تو سر جهان بهش گفتم میشه برنداد مثلا مریضن قطعا یه دوریه سلطان 5 تا چیز میاد بالا 5 تا برج میاد بالا 36 طبقه این 16 طبقه اینا 32 طبقه 30 طبقه باشه بیاد بالا حواسشون سر بره ایستگاه اتوبوس اینجا، ایستگاه اتوبوس اینها همینجا پیاده تو اینجا دیده که ایستگاه اتوبوس هست یه نمیتاش عیسی 45 پارکینگ جدا آلموست 950 تحویلش 2022 یا 23 2019 الان اینجا هست مثلا تو داره دیگه که ما داریم افزایش پیدا من فکر میکنم بیشتر مثلا کسی که بخیر احتمال 2 سال اینا این چیز داره میادش من کارت بانکی ها بهش دادم توی گفت میام گفت میام در حال اسلام ببین نمیتاشه که هم مثل رو گفتم پرداختشم پرداختشم 5000 تا وافر میده 5% بده تکمیلش کنید 5% تا 30 روز 2.5% 90 روز 2.5% 80 روز 5% 370 روز من یه سال 5% حکم برسیم 5% تا 15% یه سال حکم برسیش دیگه بگوید چیز بخیر بکنید 2023 میشه 400 میشه مثلا این 500 تا بشه 75 یه سال پارکینگ چرا 2900 تا پلاس چستی
Okay.
تازه پارکینگ برید سایت کوچکش هم نمیفروشه
Yeah, that's right. هیچی یه خوابه یه دلش مثلا یه هم 620 تا 600 620 تا 600 Yeah.
ساعت هم بزرگ هم ساعت هم 9 ساعت دو تاش درازش بود. مثلا سی اسکوار سی اسکوار 40 اسکوار سی اسکوار سی اسکوار بازم خوب چهار تا چیز که بیشتر نداره که 4 تا یادگیری بشه چون 5 تا صبر کن 442 حدود یا حدود یا این عدد من درست نمیتونه باشه 443 تقسیم بر 6 تا هر یونیت بزرگی که دو تا شارژش اضافه تیز میشه این هم مثلا وقتی بستو بیشتر اون یه چیزی داره که اضافه تیز چیه بهش 8 تا 16 سپتامبر یه آقای در طبقه 11 لارج بالکن ساعت اکسپلوژر لیوینگ روم اسیودورز فرام د لیوینگ روم one parking one culture distances این ترتیب طبقه 7 اسکوار فیت یه چیز باشه کلاسش بشه یه چوبانچه یه حدی که مزایسه دیگه وارد باشه خودش نوشته بیلبورد زدم آن یه چی میکنم منتظرم چرا؟ چون وقت خودش